Hello and welcome to the Wild Winter Women YouTube channel. I'm Leah with another recording that provides commentary on the Iditarod Trail Invitational and racer interviews. The Iditarod Trail Invitational is a human-powered race that just wrapped up in Alaska. There's a team of women in the Wild Winter Women group who have been following the race and providing media coverage because we love the stories and people from the trail. Personally, I've raced in the ITI 3 times, once in the 350 to the town of McGrath in 2016 and twice in the 1,000-mile race to Nome the last 2 winters, but not this year. Today is currently the evening of March 31st, and tonight I'm joined by my co-host, Alexandria Manley, who is this year's Women's Red Lantern finisher in the ITI 350 by bicycle. And today we have the honor of talking with Lael Wilcox, who is this year's winner of the Women's 350 by bicycle. She finished in a near record-breaking time of 2 days, 11 hours, 19 minutes. So as the fastest woman in the race this year and the 5th biker overall. Lael's the 2nd fastest woman who's ever raced the ITI 350 on bike, which was the 3rd fastest time for a woman in the race. Lael has many, many wins in bike packing, some outright wins, and has set many ultra distance course records. Most recently when she rode around the world over 18,000 miles in 108 days. So it's quite a summer ride. So welcome, Lael. Thank you for being here.
Oh gosh, thanks for having me. What a kind intro. And Leah, I missed having you out on the trail this year.
Oh, I wasn't there this year, just the previous 2 years.
I missed you.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
I didn't really get to see you too much last year either, but at least I got to see, it's just nice to know people are out there.
Yeah.
There's something about it where you're just like, you kind of get sentimental. You're like, I'm sharing the trail with all these people, these tracks ahead of me, these tracks behind me. When you make a mistake, and you can kind of see it when you're out there, what people are doing, because everything's kind of tracked. I was following wolf prints at one point and I was like, oh, this is cool. It's just so cool. So,
that's great.
But what a treat. Yeah. I got to ride around the world last year, which was so cool, but the stuff out on the Iditarod it just blows my mind. Like every hour I'm like, whoa, what's happening now? So it's such a treat that I've gotten to race to McGrath the past couple of years, and my breathing's so bad I don't think I'll ever race it again.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I just can't breathe. I have really bad asthma. So but this year was way better than last year. Last year was a total train wreck. So it's good to try new things. And it also, I think, will kind of influence my summer racing too. I had my face covered the whole time this year in the ITI, and that made such a big difference. So I think I'll try to do that in the summer too, for all the dust and everything.
Oh, yeah. I was going to ask what you did to manage your asthma, and like if you have any tips that might help other people with asthma.
Yeah, I think also it didn't get quite as cold this year. I think the low ice out there was -17. So that's not relative to last year, -40. This was
yeah.
I guess. But I did cover my face, and I had a rough for rough, and that all warmed up the air before it hit me. So that actually made a big difference. And I also came straight from Tucson, Arizona, where it was like 75 degrees. So I wasn't acclimated to the cold at all.
Yeah.
I think I got the bike the day before the race, which was beautiful, incredible bike. But I was just kind of getting used to it at the start. I was like, oh, it's all ice. What's it going to be like when I corner? Am I just going to totally wipe out? Because I hadn't ridden ice in a year, so it's like you had to get used to it. And then the more I rode, the more confident I got, and the better I was feeling on the bike. And I was like, oh, this bike rips. But it probably took like 100 miles to kind of get in the groove. So I mean, what a wacky thing to do. Probably not the best way to get into it, but still maybe the most fun, because it's like all new. You're like, oh, this is so cool. And it was really fast conditions this year too. So that's kind of nice.
Yeah. So you're from Alaska originally. So so you must have known about this race kind of as long as it's existed. And how long have you wanted to do the race, and what made you decide to do it now?
I don't think I even really knew about it, because I knew about, as a kid, I knew about the Iditarod, because we followed the mushers. You know, they had all their bios in the newspaper, and we'd call in a hotline to check on their status. And, you know, they were like our heroes. They're so cool. So I'd hear about all these places, Rainy Pass, Cripple, Nikolai, you know, and it was like always kind of this romantic thing, like what's out there. And then I found out, I think I got my first fat bike in about 2012 to commute to work. I was living up in Anchorage, tutoring math at an elementary school, and I got a fat bike to get to work because I've never had a car, which is also crazy to live in Anchorage. It's possible, but it's definitely like a fringe choice. But it was actually so fun because it was like 5 miles away, and it was a record-setting snow year, and so it was just kind of rowdy every day to get to work. And I'd never mountain biked, and so I thought, oh, if I could ride in the snow, I could probably mountain bike. And then around that time, I started mountain biking and found out that people race the Iditarod on bikes. And I was like, oh, no way. And then I also, like, my folks have this little A-frame cabin up in Willow, and we used to watch the dog mushing race go by, because sometimes we'd go past our lake. And then I was like, oh, I wonder if I could just on my bike just like start riding it. So I think maybe a couple years later, I rode out to Yetna.
Oh, nice.
Because I was like, because it's actually mostly signed. Once you get on the Susitna River, you know, you can kind of follow the trail. So I did that, and I was like, oh, actually, this isn't as like kind of scary or crazy as I thought. I could actually do this. So I think that's when it kind of switched to me, where I was like, oh, someday I think I'll ride this. And I didn't plan to race it or anything, because I didn't even race at that time. I was just traveling the world on my bike, and then happened to be in Alaska to work for a stint, and then kind of rode a bit. And so I kind of think I set it as like a long-term goal that I wanted to ride it someday. And then didn't really get back around to it till a couple of years ago. I had to go home to visit my sister in December, and I was like, oh, if I'm up there, I better get a bike, because I'm gonna go crazy if I don't have a bike. So I asked Greg at Speedway, like, would you set me up with a fat bike? Because I'm sponsored by Specialized, and they don't make them anymore. So I just needed to get a bike, and he was like, oh, sure, yeah, I'll give you a bike. And then because I got the fat bike, I was like, oh my God, I could race the Iditarod. I have a fat bike, you know? So then it kind of like pushed this whole thing forward, where I was like, and then that year I applied for the race, but they were like, oh, it's all full, you can't get in. So then I was like, oh, well, I still want to ride it, so let's just go do it. So we went out and started in Willow, and rode to McGrath. That trip, it was Rue, Anna Jager, and me. And none of us I'd ridden to Yetna. The other two hadn't ridden any of it. We didn't know what we were doing at all. But, you know, I kind of like looked, and I thought, okay, where are like the points of, you know, safety cabins or possible resupply? What are the challenges? So we, you know, because Anna and I grew up in Anchorage, we actually had like fat bike experience. And so we kind of knew what we were getting into, but a lot of it was like guessing, like, okay, I think negative 25-degree sleeping bags will work. I brought a tent. I brought probably 4 times as much food as we actually needed. By like, you know, 2/3 of the way in, I'm leaving jars of peanut butter in every safety cabin, you know, for anybody that comes in the future. Cause I was like, we are not eating all this food. I don't know what I was thinking that we could possibly even consume it. My bike probably weighed like 100 pounds. Yeah. But, you know, it was kind of glamping.
Yeah.
And then it was just a tour. So we rode like 40 miles a day. Pretty early on, learned, you know, I think Anna was real gung-ho about camping. And then we camped out before Rainy Pass, and it was like -10 or -15. And then she's like, let's not camp anymore. Which I was like, fair enough. You know, I'd called everybody about like, can we pay to stay there or whatever. Yeah. But it was I mean, that stretch of trail is so cool, you know, riding over Rainy Pass, and we had pretty good conditions. So the trail was pretty firm, and so it wasn't too much of a slog, and it was such a blast. So then got to tour it. And then I was like, okay, then I thought I could race the 1,000 because I was like, oh yeah, I've ridden the 350. Right, so I'm just going to go straight for the 1,000 because I have trail experience now. And then they told me, oh, no, you have to race the 350 before you can race the 1,000. So then I signed up for the 350 and then raced it. And then the next year it was like conditions were way worse, super cold and super big windstorm over Rainy Pass. And I was like, oh, this is like pretty serious because it's all about the conditions. You know, that's like how, and I mean, there's a lot of beauty in that too, like rugged, wild beauty. And I learned so much about my equipment. You know, it's like I had a fake fur hat and it like froze. And I was just like, oh, that's why you need real fur and all this stuff. You know, you guys that live in Fairbanks, you already know this because you live and it gets -40. In Anchorage, that doesn't happen. You know, -20 maybe, and you can get away with a lot just at that temp. It's not that bad. Yeah. You know, so the year 2, I learned a ton and my breathing was really, really bad. Like awful. By the time I got to like the Pentilla, that bunkhouse, I laid down to sleep for the first time. And then it hit me like, oh, I am really sick. I couldn't slow down my breathing enough to be able to sleep, even though I hadn't slept for a couple nights or a night. And then I was just coughing up so much green gunk and just in such bad shape. So then I had to kind of go checkpoint to checkpoint, like limping to the finish line, which is, you know, it just isn't fun like that. Like it just kind of brutal in a bad way. But I finished, which was good. And then I got diagnosed with asthma for the first time. So I got on some new medication. And then I did around the world and I was like, oh, I didn't have any breathing problems. This is great. And then around January this year, it kind of started coming back. Oh. And I was like, oh, I was so gutted. I was like, oh God, I can't. I've been working towards this for 3 years. I really want to do this race. I really want to do this ride. And I just felt like I couldn't. So at that point I was like, I canceled my spot. And then I think about a month later, I talked to my doctors in Denver and they said, well, why don't you just do the short one again as like a breathing test and just see how it goes, which still kind of terrified me because it had gone so badly the year before. Yeah. I was like, you guys don't understand. It's actually like really, really crazy, like being exposed like that. You know, right. People probably can't relate unless they've done it. And they're like, oh, okay. It's that like it's like a different planet, you know? Right. And then you're like desperate to get to the safety cabin to like lay on a wooden plank and cut down some firewood. Like, it's a lot of work, but I agreed to do it as a breathing test. I was like, what's the worst that can happen? I have to pull out or I have to limp to the finish again. And then actually this year it went a lot better. So I still was struggling to breathe, but I could manage it. So I was like, oh, that was kind of a confidence boost because I was like, then I can do things to improve this. Of course, I'm still going to have really bad asthma. Like that's not just going to be cured. It's just a lifetime thing. But I could I can cover my face. I can wear the ruff. I can take the medication and I can like manage it so that I could still like put forth like a pretty good effort, you know? So that felt good. But then I think it totally wiped me out because then I finished and then I had to real quick get out of there and fly down to Santa Barbara, California for a team camp for Rafa. And by the time I got there, I was like, oh my God, I'm like so sick. Oh, no. From not sleeping for 3 nights and racing through the cold, which I had so much fun doing. It's like kind of like a really major hangover. Yeah. And then I have to go to this camp and like, you know, do like 3 days in a row of riding and sleeping in a tent. And I was just like coughing, I was coughing so much I couldn't sleep because I was so noisy. I was like giving myself a headache. And then I finished team camp and then I was like, okay, the trail is still good right now, and it won't be good for longer. And I'd made a plan with Anna Jager to go back out there, fly to McGrath, and then continue riding down the trail. And I was so sick going into that tour, but I was like, what am I going to do? Just like cancel it? Yeah. You know, you're like, God, it's like, I can't like wait another week until I'm healthy to do this because there isn't going to be a trail anymore. And then I was like, I told myself, I was like, oh, I'll probably recover on the trail. That didn't work.
Yeah.
And then poor Anna, you know, she really wants to ride it. And then I'm just like coughing green all over my bike bags. And she's like, oh, well, she's like, I mean, obviously I was so sick, but we were having so much fun anyway that it was like, whatever, you know. But then at some point we'd planned to ride all the way to Nome. And then in Galena, I was like, I gotta start thinking about recovery because I've got a big year ahead. You know, I actually have to get back so I can like train to do the racing that like I am doing, representing my real sponsors. So I was like, I gotta get off this trail, which was kind of sad, you know, because I'm so like into it. I just love being out there. Even when I was so sick, I still loved it. But, you know, I was like, okay, at least I got to ride to Galena. And then Anna was like, so cool. She's like, well, we can always just fly back into Galena another year and keep going. Because I mean, the reality is, you know, it's a long trail. It takes a long time. It takes a lot of energy and reserves, and it's really special. My worry is that with climate change, it might not be passable for too much longer. You know, so then I do feel like a level of urgency where I'm like, if I want to see this, I better like kind of try to make it happen.
Yeah.
You know, because it's gonna.
And it's so dependent. It's also dependent on the Iron Dog and the Iditarod. You know, there's other organizations that do all the trail work.
Totally. So, yeah, we're just benefiting from all of their hard work and resources, which is so cool. But it also makes it very kind of precious.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, and okay, I have watched Tyson recover from the 350, racing it the same way that you did, and he has like a month-long hangover, and he would still do like the White Mountains 100 a couple weeks later, which is pretty hilly, but it takes him like 12 or 14 hours or something like that.
Relatively
so for
fast.
You to try to return to the Iditarod Trail to finish the 1,000 when you're struggling with your breathing, like that's incredible.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, like, you know, that's
conditions.
People, well, okay, so you say this, but then when I went back, I was basically I came back in where the walkers were. And then I thought, holy shit, these people are tough.
Yeah.
Because the distance you can cover on a bike, you know, if conditions are decent, you can really cover more distance. And the walkers, it's like, God, they were pushing and they were walking like 40 miles a day. But I was like, that is a lot of time because you could, at the fastest, probably walk 3 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And I thought, this is pretty incredible. And then the amount of exposure they have to deal with because, you know, they can't push to the safety cabin. I mean, sometimes on the bike you can't either because it's so soft, you're just stuck and you got to bivvy out. But often you can kind of in your mind think, if I do 3 more hours to make it, you know, for them, it's like, oh, they have to go another 12 hours. They're going to bivvy. So then they're like dealing with exposure night after night. Yeah. And I was like, and they're always on their feet. They never get a downhill to coast.
Right.
Maybe they get in their sled and ride the sled down. But even that, you know, it's like, I was just like, this is hardcore.
Yeah.
You know, and one of the guys that was walking this year, he had to pull out because he had an infection. And I was like, Gavin, you know, you could bike it. Like it.
What did he say?
Or I said, have you ever thought about just biking it instead? And he was like, yeah, I have thought about that. And because I was like, it is easier. And he was like, I was like, and a little bit less intense. And he's like, well, I like intensity. And I was like, well, fair enough. But it is like a lot more intense when you don't have like a chance of getting somewhere with like shelter. You know, I was like, oh, that's harder for sure.
Yeah.
You know, and your feet are always wet. You know, it's just, they're really good. They're probably more on the ball about management, body management and everything, you know, and then also having to ration their food a bit more because it'll take longer to get to the place where they can get more food. Right. So it's just like, we've got it pretty easy on the bike. And then I when I say that, I'm like, biking the Iditarod is so freaking hard. You think about what like the snow machine people must think of us.
But you still do it with asthma. I mean, there's lots of people out there. It's very common to have breathing problems, but not everybody has asthma. Like that takes True. Like an extra like level of like diagnosis to have asthma and to do it. Like
I know, but it's like, I wish I didn't.
Yeah.
You know, everybody has something, right? It just happens to be mine's like breathing in them and aerobic endurance athlete. So those things are probably not great partners. But the rest of it was going fine, you know, and like I think about improvement because I'm like, oh, last year I think I probably lost like 8 pounds in 4 days. And then I was like, I'm not doing that again. I was like, that was horrible. So this year I was like making myself camp meals at every checkpoint and just shoveling, you know, because I was like, I need a lot more real food, you know. So I was just like, and then you think about that, you're like, okay, well, actually during the 350 race, the checkpoints all have boiling water. So that makes it easy, faster, you know, because I was like, but because the race provides like hot pockets and stuff. And I was like, I actually just can't really just eat that. I mean, I try, but you know, you guys ever have that when you're just chewing? It's like the food's not going anywhere.
Yeah. Or like you're eating candy and you want just like a meal.
Yeah. You're like, you kind of look at the candy. You're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, that was better, you know, because you just have to kind of, I try to improve, like, you know, when you have those physical reactions like that, you're like, oh, well, I obviously did something wrong there. I was like, because I didn't even see myself till the end. And then I was like, oh, I'm like a shell of a human.
Right. Yeah.
You don't want that, you know, talk about bad recovery. Oh, did you guys have that where you're just like sweating at night afterward? Oh, good
I don't
for
think
you.
so.
Yeah, I think you're built for this.
Oh.
Because, you know, I'm like talking about all this horrible stuff and you're like, oh no, fine.
Actually, I have had that. I have like, I finished the Arrowhead 135 one time and we went and I ate like a big dinner. And then like that night, I think like all of a sudden my body just started burning all that.
Kicked in. Yep.
Yeah.
It was like a furnace.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, I have had that.
I would feel like extremely cold and I'm like in a bed with a blanket. I was like, whoa, that's not good. Like my body's flipping out.
Right.
I mean, not acclimating to the cold is bad.
Yeah. How did that go? Did you feel pretty unacclimated to the cold?
Totally. But I was kind of like, oh, this might be a really bad idea. And then I was like, I'll just wear more clothes. And which was so funny because like, you know, at the start line, it was like 30 degrees. These guys are in like windbreaker and I have like my rough on. It's like, I was like, I'm such the kind of the like out of towner, you know, coming straight from the desert.
Yeah. Right.
But you know what? It was, I think I was lucky too, because it was only down to like -17. So that, you know, it starts feeling a little cold, but I think that's okay. It's in the realm of like not extreme cold, you know? So I think I got pretty lucky. If it had been colder, I probably would have been worse off, you know, because sometimes, you know, it gets that cold and you almost feel like you're like naked. You ever have that? It's so weird. You're like wearing like a huge parka and the wind just rips right through and you're like, I feel like I have no clothes on. I think stuff like that, I'm just like, wow, this is cool, but also kind of weird. But I didn't really have that this year. It wasn't too cold. And I did bring a parka. You know, I'm sure like the other guys did not bring a warm jacket because they don't need it. You know, they're used to it. So they don't like need that. But I was like, for me, if I actually lose my body temp, I'm going to be in big trouble.
Yeah.
So I carried a bit more gear, I think, just because I was like, I don't have the, I didn't acclimate. So I can't like go without. So that worked.
And I always figure if you have like a flat tire, you know, you have a mechanical problem or you're standing around or.
Totally. Your body temp drops.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or something happens where you can't keep going. You know, it's like, or you get wet.
Right.
You know, so I was like, oh, I think I'll just bring this stuff and not worry about it. You know, I don't know. It's a lot of down. It's not that heavy. It's just bulky. You know, so I brought extra clothes, I think. And then I thought, oh, this will probably be good enough. And if I eat more, I feel so much better. You know, you feel like good for 3 hours and then you fall off a cliff again.
Yeah.
So I'm curious about like with the breathing, if you're touring and you can sleep a few hours every night and you're slowed down enough that you can like really take super good care of yourself and spend time inside, does that help, or do you find that you kind of have the same issues?
I think that definitely is better because I get to recover. But the problem was going back to tour this year, I came in really sick. Yeah. So if I had come in like healthy, I think I would have been fine. But I just wasn't healthy enough to get better. So that kind of, I guess looking at it, I probably should have picked one or the other, either race or tour, but not try to do both. Just as far as like my energy, using my energy. But you know, I mean, both are so fun that it would have been hard to give one up. You know, they're so different and so fun. So fun to be out there with a friend. Riding with Anna, we were just laughing all the time because it's like when stuff goes wrong, you're like, oh, it's nice to have somebody else around where you're like, what are we gonna do now? You know, it was like I punched through the water and I was like, oh shit. And then like my pants dried like immediately. I was like, oh, this fabric's incredible. But then of course my boot was soaked. And then I was like, oh well, I better do something. So then I'm like, okay, Anna, what should we do? And then I was like, oh, I brought a bag of bagels. Let's just take the bagels out of the bag, put the plastic bag on my foot, put a foot warmer on there and put the wet boot on. And then that was good enough to get to like a cabin and dry it out.
Great.
You know, so I was like, okay, this works. But you know, when something like that happens and you just, what else are you going to do but like laugh?
Yeah.
What are we going to do now? We figured out like 2 nights in, or the second night that our stove was broken.
Oh no.
Oh my God. I was like, what about drinking water? I was like, okay, Anna, new plan. And then Anna was like, oh, I brought this repair kit, so I'll fix it. So then like she actually did fix the thing that was broken, which I was so impressed. But then she like in the process of doing that stripped another piece.
Oh no.
I was like, okay, we'll just have to melt all our water at the safety cabins. You know, like get a stove going, wood stove, and then melt water in a pot and then carry that.
So is that what you did?
Yeah, we did that at 1. And then I think we sent a text to Tyson and I was like, hey, stove's broken. And he's like, oh, that sucks. I could send you one to Galena. And then I was like, oh yeah, that's a good call. And then he remembered, he was like, you know what you could do is you could go stay at the Iron Dog cabin at Poor Man.
Oh.
Genius.
So do you go there?
Yeah.
Cool.
And I walk in there, we got in there at like midnight or something. And we actually found like a skier on the way. And I was like, oh yeah, there's a cabin to sleep in. And then and then I walk in and there's like a propane stove with a bunch of propane, wood stove, firewood. I was like, oh, this is like heaven.
Nice.
Yeah,
That's great.
that was good. Because otherwise we're gonna like, either stuck at a safety cabin camping early and then going later, or doing something stupid like trying to build a fire and melt snow. I mean, that would have worked, but nice that Tyson suggested that.
Yeah.
Great idea. That place is awesome.
I'm glad that you're able to go there, because that's a long ways from that North Fork Anoco cabin all the way up to Ruby.
I know. I know. So what we were going to do is that North Fork's the second cabin?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, what we're going to have to do is get to the second cabin in the afternoon, drink water, sleep for a few hours, and then like go at 2 a.m. and make it to Ruby. But then instead of that, we like rode until 11 at night, and then we could just make it to Ruby the next day. And obviously we got pretty lucky that the conditions were decent. Because the conditions were, oh man, that stretch from Pullman to Ruby was like total whiteout and really like low visibility. I was like, ooh, this is so weird. And we're going so slow.
And then the hills get big right before Ruby.
Totally. And I was like, wow, this is a long day. We get to the school at Ruby at like midnight. We'd like written the principal that we were coming. And then a lady like welcomed us, and it was midnight.
Wow.
And she like showed us around. They had cleared out a classroom for us to sleep in. It's like, oh, these people are so nice.
Yeah.
And then it was dark when we got there, and then I saw Ruby in the morning, and it was like a beautiful day. And I was like, this place is incredibly beautiful. And that's when you descend down to the Yukon River for the first time. So then I was like, oh, this is like really. So then of course I'm like really, really sick, and we're just doing all these kind of funny things. And then of course I wanted to keep going because it's so fascinating. Every day it's like this whole thing, and then you get somewhere and you're like, oh, thank God. But then so we rode I think the 50 miles to Galena, and then we stayed at the guy's B&B there. Such a nice guy. Larry, such a nice guy. And then that's when my friend's dad was there. He's actually flying for the Iditarod, because that Larry hosts the pilots. And he was like, well, you really should take care of because I was like coughing so much. I wonder if anybody could get any sleep in that place. Coughing all night, and so then we're like, okay. I was like, well, I think we better at least take one more day here so I can see if I can get a bit better. And then I was actually starting to get better, but then as soon as I went back out into the cold, I was like, oh, bad again. Yeah. So then that's where we called it. Because also after that point, it's not really easy to get off the trail for a while. Probably not till Cleat, Caltag as the closest, but minimal options. Galena like flies to Fairbanks every day many times. So I was like, okay, we can do that. And then so we got off trail, went through Fairbanks, and actually Tyson picked us up from the airport, which was such a great guy. So we got to go to his house for tea, and he had bike boxes for us, because then we were taking Alaska Airlines back to Anchorage. And that was getting off the trail, and I was like, well, smart call, but hard to leave it behind when it's right there, when you're actually, because it's so hard to get out there. Yeah. So I just loved it. And I loved being with Anna out there. I love racing, but I like sharing it with a friend and also not feeling stressed about it. I was like, oh, this is so cool. Because it is really cool to be with someone out there, because you're having so many weird thoughts and going through so many things and seeing so much beauty, and then also stuff's so hard that it's like, it's nice to do with someone else. I was like, oh, this is actually pretry cool. And she's such a great partner for it too, because she's not like, she doesn't get really grumpy. Stuff goes wrong. Because it can be, you're like, oh shit, we're just gonna be walking for like 5 hours, you gotta be with someone that's like okay with that, because it's like you have to be like patient. And that's just part of it, I guess.
That's great.
So yeah.
So I'm curious about your mindset. We kind of had this in our notes about like a question to ask, because every time there's any video or like whenever I've seen a presentation of yours, you're always super positive. But every racer I've ever talked to says like, oh, I definitely go to a dark place sometimes. Like, does that happen for you, or do you feel like you generally are like pretty upbeat or positive, even like by yourself out on the trail?
Oh, generally, yeah. I'm just happy to be out there. But I think for me, it's like sad if my body starts failing. Yeah. Then I'm like, oh, not this, like the bad cough. I can't breathe. I have to like lay there. I want to move forward. I want to be like on the go. So if I'm like held back, then I get bummed. Mm-hmm. So, but otherwise, if I'm going, I'm like, oh, this is cool. Like this year, oh my God, I was seeing all kinds of stuff out there. Going into like my third night of no sleep is when I finished. So I was like, and because it's so cold and like the light hits in weird ways, I was seeing like crazy stuff that I've never seen on a race. Like, like imagining snow machines doing wheelies or like packs of dogs or it's so crazy. And then I'd get up to it and I was like, oh, it's just a rock with some snow on it. And then you're like, but is it really? I don't know. Your brain gets so wacky. And I think that's kind of fascinating. And the way like the snow glitters with your headlight on it, it's so pretty. And then you see these things and you could just cry. It's so pretty, so I don't think I could have like a really bad time out there. But unless like my body's falling apart. I mean, the thing is it's also kind of you try to make good choices, but like sleeping. Yeah. I laid down in Roan for a couple hours, kind of like dozing in and out of sleep because I was like, because once you leave that checkpoint, then, what are you going to bivvy? Yeah, you could. That takes a lot of time to set up. And also for me, with my breathing being so bad, I'm not going to recover out there breathing that cold air all night, So I'm like, well, that's not really a good choice. But then I got to a point, I think it was near like is it the Bear Creek cabin after like between Roan and Nikolai? And I think I was like 10 miles before it. And I was just like, I am so sleepy right now. And the sun's not going to come up for 2 hours. I was like, pull it together. Because like you can't just take a little cat nap on the side of the trail. It's too cold, So I was like, pull it together. If I'd been closer to that cabin, I probably would have gone to take a nap. But I was like, I've gotta like keep my brain on. And then once the sun comes up, no problem. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm fine now. It's just those long, dark nights where you're like, oh, I'm losing it. Because it's not healthy to not sleep.
Right.
It's so bad for you, and with that, I think in that amount of exposure too, it's even more intense maybe, but yeah, I think it's a special occasion. I'm not going to do that like every weekend,
right.
So I was like, oh, for this, I could probably just do it. And then, I mean, the thing I didn't take seriously was my recovery afterward. I got to learn a couple more lessons from Tyson, who's like, oh, you got to recover. So, because I just like going again, I'm like, I just want to keep going. But yeah, I think that was, so I don't get too, like, my head doesn't get too dark because I'm like, how lucky are we? Gosh. And if your head is getting real dark, I don't know, maybe sleep a little bit. See how you feel the next day or something. I think what a lucky thing to get to ride that. But yeah, I mean, I could see people getting like, you have to ride the tussocks.
Yeah.
I mean, even going into it, I was like, this is going to be bad. So then I think by the time I got to him, I was like, well, we all have to do it. I took some tire pressure out and I tried to ride. And if I really couldn't ride, I'd just walk. And You know, I was like, okay, just keep moving. At least I don't have to drag a sled over them. Way worse.
Yeah.
You know, how awful would that be? So I don't know. Of course, there are going to be like harder parts and easier parts. I think we had it pretty easy this year, though. You know, so I was like, oh, that's and I mean, we're all doing it because we like hard things. You know, otherwise you wouldn't just do that and think it's going to be easy.
Right.
It's really hard. There's a ton of climbing, not always good traction, sometimes soft trail. You're dealing with exposure. Everything about that is hard, you know, but also magnificent. So I don't know, but I'm glad I got to race it and ride it. And, you know, I just want to see more of the trail now.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, that's the cool thing about the Iditarod Trail is it's like this endless trail. Like, I don't know of any other trails that are, you know, they're 1,000 miles long. And then even once you do that, then there's a whole nother, like the Southern route, you know, part.
Right. Totally. I can see how people get super sucked into it.
Yeah.
You know, and also how it's like different when conditions are a little different and how your body reacts, how your gear performs, like what you see and experience. You know, I can totally see how people get super into that because it's so unique.
Yeah.
You know, and then when I did it, I was like, yeah, I think of all these people that I'm like, they would love this. You know, because it's just like kind of endlessly fascinating. And it's like over frozen water and marsh and the Alaska range and stuff, you know, so you're like, we can actually travel this? Wow. So I could see how people get super into it. But I don't think I'll get too obsessed. I think I'll stay kind of a even level of I'm just kind of a fan of it, you know?
Yeah. So when you're racing, do you listen to music or podcasts or anything like that?
Sometimes, yeah. I didn't for the first 10 years at all. I didn't even have like, I think I had a flip phone. Which is so wild to think about. And now I listen to some music and I'm like, oh, this is so fun. Or it can kind of take you out of a funk. You know, if you're kind of like, oh, this is kind of a grind. You listen to some music, you're like, oh, this is fun again. And then, but this year I listened a little bit and not tons because I think I was also just so kind of enamored with being out there because it was so fresh. You know, I'd been coming straight from kind of summer conditions. So I was like, oh, I'm just like into this. But, you know, sometimes I listen to a little pop music or something. And that was fun. I don't think I really listened to any podcasts this time, but I often do on longer races, especially if I'm riding in the dark. Because you can't see anything. You know, that's probably like after, like during Around the World, I'd have to ride into the night a bunch. And it just is kind of like, oh, I'm going to ride for another 5 hours in the dark. So then I'd listen to a book or something. And then I'd get into that. So I'd just be like into the book and forget I'm biking. That's fun. Do you guys listen to stuff?
Yeah, definitely.
What did you listen to? Anything good?
My sister-in-law has a podcast, and so like there was like last year, there like the last couple days there was like a bad storm on the coast, and like I remember just like listening to that podcast, and it was like her podcast, and just like hearing her voice, I was like, oh, it's like family, nice. And
totally
like it was just like awesome to listen to. And then I have like an iPod, I forget if iPod Shuffle or iPod Mini, but I haven't updated the music for like 10 years.
It's all really old.
Stuff that like I'm mostly really sick of.
Yeah. That's really funny. So that's cool. That podcast idea, that's really sweet.
Yeah.
Because it is like very kind of, I don't know, just makes you feel connected and warm to hear that, especially when it's scary.
Yeah.
That coast sounds like it can be terrifying.
Yeah. Yeah. It was just really bad last
year.
Whiteout
wind. You can't see anything. And
right. Yeah.
You'd probably get pretty disoriented.
Yeah. When I was there, it wasn't windy. It was just like warm, like 30 degrees. And like,
oh, really?
Like, I was like post holing. And then there was like this like sleet stuff, like super wet.
So bad. Oh, yeah. No, that's so bad. That's, you're just wet and punching like walking and slow. And Yeah, that's really bad conditions.
Yeah, like 3 days to go 70 miles. And like the previous year I'd done that in one day.
You're like, I can't believe I'm back out here.
Yeah.
The worst condition, as long as you've got like plenty of time and all the patience in the world, then it's not so bad. And so for me, anytime I feel like tired or just like I'm not enjoying this because I'm just out there to have fun, I just stop and I like look around and I like take some rest and like eat some junk food. And I'm literally like living my childhood dream right now. Like this is so much fun.
Totally.
And so like, I don't know. I think for me, I would much rather struggle on the bike than I would in like my personal life. Like,
yeah. I agree with that for sure. Yeah. I mean, we're choosing the struggle. And usually if you eat something, everything's a lot better. I would do that. I'd be like, I'm getting pretty weird. And then I would just be like, I better eat something. Because you don't even like sometimes connect it. It's like the bonk is so quick and extreme in the cold. Or you get sleepy and it's really because you're bonked.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think also the other thing that's really hard for me is to not be riding after like 8 days of just like, I never set an alarm. I woke up whenever I was done sleeping. I just enjoyed the trail. And then I get back to my home life and I'm like, I love my life, but like, I miss it. Like I miss being on the trail. And then watching people like go to Nome and I'm like, I have enough in the tank to go to Nome. Like I want to go to Nome.
Yeah, totally. Oh, cool. Yeah, I agree with that for sure. You just want to see some more.
Yeah. It's like curiosity. Like you have to have a curious set and like wonder what you're going to see next because it's going to be different every
time. Yeah. I totally agree with that. Oh, that's cool.
So I have a question. What draws you to events like this or like long events?
Oh, I've always been like that. I just like not knowing what's going to happen, I think. And I think I've always kind of been like that. And then, I wasn't really a cyclist, but it's actually probably the easiest way to do it. Because it's easier to carry stuff on the bike. It's easier to get between points of, finding food or water or whatever. And so I started traveling on the bike just after college, just because it was a cheap way to travel. I didn't even like the bike. I was like, I wish I was on foot. I was more of a runner. And I did that for a long time, like 7 years, half the year working, half the year traveling, and then saving money to do the trips. And then at the end of that stretch, I entered my first race on the bike. And then actually racing, kind of everything clicked where I was like, oh, I love this. Because I liked the, like, just going crazy and, trying to, like, I'm very competitive. And I was like, oh, this is so fun. Because bike pack racing, like, you decide when and where you're going to eat and sleep. And you're kind of following that race. I was in Israel and I was following a super fun trail that like went through like the desert on single track. And then it goes through Old Town Jerusalem. So like the stimulation of seeing all this stuff while being out in it and like learning about it and trying to be the fastest. I was like, this rocks. So it all kind of changed for me with that. But then it also made me enjoy just like riding more for myself because I realized, oh, I could push myself, and I could ride super long distances outside of competition. And I like that too, so it had to be kind of realizing that it could be like a more kind of physical challenge for everything to make sense for me. And that was like 2015. 10 years later, I'm still doing this stuff. I'm 38 years old. I've really bad asthma. Still doing it. But, now, I mean, how lucky I get to do it as my job. I never thought that would happen. I used to pay for it. And then it, after it's like racing the Tour Divide a couple times and winning the Trans Am overall. And I think it took 3 years of really getting some really good results. Plus I started doing some video projects and then some brands started offering to help me. But who was my first sponsor was Reveille Designs. And they sponsored me before I even raced. They just saw me like my ratty bike with these bags that were like worn to death that I bought from them around town. And they were like, oh, we'll help you out. You're obviously riding this thing a lot.
That's awesome.
I had this total junk bike that I used to ride because, of course, this stuff's really expensive. But, some of the stuff like used, old stuff actually works fine for the most part. I mean, it's, not the same, but it does work pretty well. So that was so cool of them to help me out even before, because most sponsors want you to race, I'd say. Generally, some people are very creative and can make it work. Otherwise, they're great photographers, great writers, that kind of stuff. It can work, but it's much easier to just be a racer.
And I think that your Trans Am frame bag is like one of the coolest frame bags I've ever seen.
Stars and stripes.
One of the coolest like bike bags in general, just because like people talk about like custom frame bags and it's like custom to a bike frame, but that was custom to you for that one event.
And I just told them I really want it to be like red, white, and blue themed. Because I was racing across the US and then they made that. I was like, oh, this is the best. And then I was like, I don't need anything for this race. I brought like a bivvy. That was a mistake. No seat pack, no front roll, just a frame bag. That was a mistake. I get like so kind of crazy where I'm like, I don't need anything. And then I'm just like, oh, I'm freezing. You can't do that for the Iditarod.
Right.
You just have to bring the stuff. I was like just shaking on the ground.
Oh gosh.
So I learned so much in that race. I was like, oh, it's a road race. This is going to be a piece of cake. So wrong.
Right.
It's so hard. I'd never really ridden road. I didn't know. Oh my God. It's so funny how I go into this stuff with so much confidence. But then I'm competitive and I stick with it. I'm like, I've got to win this. So I do everything I can. And then, at the end of the day, all you can do is your best and then call it good. But I do, I think maybe I'm still doing it because I find it so much fun. Like what you do out there, so wacky. What you like, how you improvise when things go wrong. My seat post broke and I rode standing up for 50 miles.
This year?
No, in the Trans Am. Oh my God.
Oh, really?
Last year in the ITI, my seat post was slipping.
Oh.
And for the first 125 miles. So then I had to I was like trying to raise it up. And then I asked Tyson, what should I do? He's like, maybe throw a bunch of water on it and it'll freeze into place. That didn't work. I stripped the bolt. And then I had to like sit on my rack and pedal almost like a recumbent.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, well, the bike's not broken, but this is like so bad for my knees.
Yeah.
Riding a really low saddle on a fat bike. Because also like you can't stand up as much because of traction.
Right.
So you just have to sit on that thing. Oh my God. Nothing like that happened this year. I was like, oh, thank God. Because I was like, I was listening to music for sure. Because I was like, I got to keep my mind off of this. I'm going to drive myself crazy pedaling low.
Was it the last 50 miles?
No, it was the first 125.
Oh.
And then I went to Finger Lake and one of the volunteers was like, well, do you want to try to raise it up? And I was like, yeah, at this point, because I was thinking about like taping a book to it or something. And so then he like really gently did it. And then another racer, Pete Basinger, had extra carbon prep up his seat post and he gave me some. And then we got it in there, really cranked it down. And then I was like, I'm not touching it ever again. And it worked. Thank God.
Yeah.
Oh, that is just, I mean, and I'd put carbon prep in the seat post, but for whatever reason, the clamp just wasn't holding it.
Yeah, I hate that.
Greg Mattias tried to fly me in a new clamp to Roan, but the wind was so strong that the pilot couldn't land.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that crazy? I didn't even know this was happening.
Yeah.
Because I was just like, well, I'm pedaling low. I mean, some of the stuff that goes wrong, usually like at the end you laugh about it, but while it's happening, you're like, oh my God, what am I gonna do now?
Yeah.
You know. But I mean, really with that bike, I'm like, oh, a lot could go wrong as long as you can keep like air in your tires.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah. And I didn't have any problems with that. So
yeah,
that was lucky.
I think there was someone this year who had a seat post slipping down and they like put a stick in there or something.
Yeah, I think somebody did do that.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy what people come up with?
And when I saw a video and it was like whittled or something, like they must have spent a lot of time.
Well, because it'll drive you crazy.
Yeah.
If it's just slipping like that, you're like, oh, this is like really bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was fine. I mean, that is just, you know, whatever. I think I had to like change seat post fairly close to the race start. So I don't know. I must have just not taken, you know, and then extreme cold stuff performs differently, you know, so yeah. But this year, no mechanicals at all.
Yeah, that's great.
So how lucky. That was very cool.
Yeah.
Because it is hard to deal with stuff out there. You're like, oh, what do I do? You can't just pop into a bike shop.
Right.
But yeah, those bikes are incredible. You know, I just can't believe how good they are. People are riding the Iditarod on regular mountain bikes. You know, that's crazy.
I know. I can't believe it. I give them so much credit for doing it on like 2 and 3 inch tires.
Totally.
It's unbelievable.
So cool.
Yeah.
It could have worked this year though.
Yeah, actually.
More trails.
Yeah. I think only really the 100 miles from like the middle third. That's the only part you needed a fat bike.
Yep.
Isn't that crazy? And that part actually was like winter wonderland, beautiful. But it was really only for about 100 miles. And then it was totally gone.
Wow.
Yeah, you almost could have ridden a regular bike.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
You just needed studded tires this year. Like if you didn't have studded tires, that was a mistake.
I wonder if people did that.
I don't know.
I hope not. I even put some studs in my boot because I was like, what happens when you step down? You're going to totally eat it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, wow. It was a pretty wild year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Alexandria, did you have another question?
Yeah. So this one is like totally different subject. The goal of Wild Winter Women is to encourage and inspire women to pursue their outdoor adventure goals. You have spoken openly in the past about some of the obstacles you have faced throughout your racing career, such as the backlash that you received during the Tour Divide when you were on track to beat the record and eventually decided to withdraw from the race. What is your advice to young women who are facing obstacles that men doing the same sport are not facing?
I know. That's tough. Generally, I hope it's getting better. And I think it is. You know, I think more women are participating, so that's a good sign, first of all. But of course, we still have a ways to go. And the trouble is, I think some of kind of the sexism is not obvious. You know, it's not saying, oh, you must be cheating because you're a woman, but people will find other excuses to kind of discriminate, I think.
Yeah.
Because it's taken me a while to come to that because I'm very trusting and I listen to what people say and I try to think about it and I try to be open to their ideas. And then I figure out, oh, but there's like a guy who I was leapfrogging with and he had a media crew and nobody cared. So then I'm like, well, what's the difference? You know, what's going on here? So sometimes it takes a while to kind of realize, oh, this is what's going on. But I do think, you know, I'm also in a position then because I'm a woman, I will always be an underdog. So, you know, people relate to me because I look normal, I'm normal size and normal ability. And then I can go do these kind of crazy things. And so then maybe they think, oh, maybe I could do that, or I could try. And they get like a little courage from that. And I think, oh, that's cool. I think that's cool that they think, because like, she doesn't look like a gladiator or something. And she can go do this, or she has really bad asthma and she's still riding the Iditarod. Maybe I could try, and so I think that's like such a cool position to be in. So I feel really lucky for that. And I think it's also kind of like, if you come into this with like having doubt in yourself or hearing doubt from your community, and then you overcome that, that is such a huge deal for like every aspect of your life. So I think the main thing for people is to kind of, like women specifically, is to think about what's stopping me. Like if I'm curious and I have this kind of dream to go do this thing, why wouldn't I? Because of what other people think, or because of what I think of myself, and then kind of figure out what things do I need to put in place so I can go do part of it. And it doesn't have to be like the whole thing. Like for me, starting the Iditarod, it was like, I actually kind of had a connection because I grew up in Alaska. That, first of all, makes it easier. My parents' cabin, little A-frame cabin, was like in Willow. So that's kind of like the start of the trail. So I had like a framework for it. And then I thought, the first time, I'll just ride the first like 50 miles and just see what it's all about. So I think that's kind of like what you can do in a lot of these adventures, is you don't have to go do the whole thing right away, but maybe you could do part of it or something similar that like kind of takes you in that direction, instead of just being like paralyzed by fear or thinking it has to be really grand, because it doesn't. Because even when you are doing the grand adventure, things are very basic. You're like, oh, I ate a bagel and I feel better. It's not like mind-blowing stuff most of the time. It's just like figuring out how to take care of yourself and enjoy adversity, which I think is why we're kind of all out there, because it is very hard and kind of scary in a way, but also like thrilling in a way. Even though like the actual riding experience, I kind of always laugh about it, because I'm like, there's very little about fat biking that's thrilling. Because it's just like slow and hard. You're not like woo most of the time. Like if you can maintain like consistent riding, you're like, oh, this is going great. It's not like a thrill thing, but it is thrilling to be out there because of the beauty of it and how remote it is, and how kind of people are good to each other out there. It's like anybody you encounter cares about you being a human and being okay. Like, oh, they'll give you advice. Oh, there's a cabin right up there, or the school, or here's the phone number, or anything that they can do to show you kindness or be helpful. They do. We all do that for each other out there because it's really real. So I think that's kind of it, brings back my faith in humanity a lot, because like you'll run into people out there that definitely have different backgrounds or opinions, or I'm a gay woman. I don't know if that flies out there, but people don't seem to care. Actually, they're like, whatever, you're a person and you're doing this. And so there's like a level of empathy, I think, that I think is pretty special. It also is good for my personality because it makes me more patient. Because you can't just rush, because you could like really make a bigger mistake, so you have to be a little more thoughtful. So I think that's cool. But yeah, I think for people that, want to try to do something like this, it's like, just do something as quick as you can that's kind of in that vein. Go for an overnight bike ride or hike or whatever from home. You don't have to go to Alaska and do this crazy thing, but maybe you want to start making steps towards that, and that's cool. Because I think, and the cool part is none of us are really experts at it. Because I think conditions are going to change. Like maybe you get more experience and then you're like, oh, I actually like it when I have this equipment. And you make improvements, and then the next go around, it's like the opposite. Like, oh, well, guess that didn't work.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of cool too. It's very humbling. I think that's kind of cool. But I just also feel like it's such a gift to see it. So yeah, I want more people to feel like they can do that stuff. And so I've done a lot of work for that. You know, I do a girls program. I've done women's rallies and women's scholarship because like I just happened into this, you know, and sometimes I think, what if I never even tried any of this stuff? Somehow, you know, my life would be totally different. And I found so much joy in it. And also people have told me, oh, you can't do that. And then I'm like, well, fuck you. I'm going to give it a go. You know, and I'm like not the best athlete or built for all of it, but I'm really like motivated and I like it. So I'm like, whatever, I'll just do it my way. And we don't all have to do things the same way. You know, people are so kind of rigid with how you have to approach stuff. And it's like, that doesn't really matter. You know, it's like being out there and doing it your own way is cool. So, and I think that, you know, that thought doesn't come up a lot because women are very creative in problem solving. So I think it's kind of cool when you see them out on adventures. I run into women doing stuff and see what they came up with, you know, of like what's actually going to work, you know, and then they can like share that with their friends or their family. And then more people feel like, oh, maybe I could try too, because they did it this way. You know, they waited till after they had 3 kids and they still did it. You know, so I think it's really cool. It's like the more women that do this stuff, the more kind of role models we have for different ways of like going on adventures, challenging yourselves, bringing people with you, and bringing more heart into it, maybe. You know, so I think it's really cool you've been doing coverage of this because of all the different characters.
Yeah.
You know, everybody's so different out there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been so fun to hear everybody's stories and hear how it went. And
and it's going to be special any way you do it, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, and then for me to see, you know, how the walkers are doing it, I was like, oh my God. I just was like, I didn't really think about that. That's so hardcore.
Right.
They're so much fun. Like I'm always the slowest biker, so I'm always among the walkers.
Oh yeah, they're so cool.
8 hours, and then they catch up with me because they only slept for like 3 or 4. So I'm always super like excited and jazzed and just loving every second. And you find people there in the pain cave, and so it's so much fun to like run into people and to like kind of give them some energy and to like hang out for a little bit and then move along, and then you see them again, and so it's just I have so much respect.
Totally, me too.
Yeah,
crazy.
And like Gavin is just a machine. Like just the long hours he puts in. Like I was near him on the trail last year. So impressive.
Was cracking me up. He was teaching me some of the stuff he does to keep himself awake. He has like smelling salts. Have you guys ever tried those?
No.
They are so intense. He was like, yeah, sometimes if I'm falling asleep, I'll just do this. And Anna and I tried it and we were like, I was like, my head's going to run into the wall. It just like,
really?
Yes. I was like, you are a maniac. You're doing that out there? Smelling salts. He's like, yeah, when the caffeine's not working. But he'll be back next year because he really wants to get the walking record.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. What a cool guy. Also, that was super lucky he was in Galena when I got there. So we got to hang out, you know. I mean, nobody wants to be stopped on the trail, but it's nice to have good company if you are.
Yeah, absolutely.
So cool. With the backlash that you have faced, how do you think that shaped your riding? Like, do you think that it has made you more determined, or do you think at times it's been discouraging for you?
It's kind of sad, you know, it's kind of sad, but I think also it's helped me kind of gain a bigger view of like, okay, where is this coming from and who is it and how intense is it? And then it's like, oh, it's like 99% super positive people sending me really kind messages of like how they've changed their lives or, you know, dealing with severe depression and then thinking maybe I should just try riding a bit more and then their lives getting better or, you know, the things that they've had to overcome too, or just this genuine kindness. And I think, well, I can't just focus on this tiny percentage that's negative, you know? So I think but it's hard not to. I think that's like human nature to not like negativity, and then it's like, well, is that going to stop me from doing what I do? And I think so. It's sent me through like kind of a lot of reflection of like, do I believe in what I'm doing? Am I doing it the right way? Do I feel like I have integrity? And I do, and I've worked really hard to maintain that. And so I guess that's good. But, it's like kind of sad it's also sad to just think, oh, some of this community is very toxic. And if I'm dealing with that and I'm like at the top of the sport, think about other women trying to get into this. It's not a very inviting place. So then I think, okay, well, let's do the rallies. Let's do the other stuff and like make these events specifically for women to show them you are welcome here and you're a badass and you can do this and you don't have to race. That's the other part of it too, is like, I think we just kind of, our culture kind of goes straight into, oh, racing is the solution for adventure and stuff. And it's not, I mean, like, I find it fun, but like, it's also like, oh, you can do really hard things that are not competitive, and they're still like mind blowing and crazy and stuff. But then with that, you're like, well, I still want community. And bikepacking can be such a kind of a solo sport, which I like, but I also like being with like-minded people or hearing their stories or kind of relating. So I think there's a lot of room for more styles of events, which are coming up, like rallies or like meetups or social rides, places where people can get together, do hard things, but not necessarily race each other. Because, we don't need to all the time. We could also like ride hard together or ride slow together or, sleep full nights or, go to different places. So it has changed, I think, with route sharing, route sharing, GPS, gosh, I don't know, the internet, basically, because people can see that other people do this kind of stuff. And then they're like, oh, I don't just have to sign up for the race. I could just go ride the trail, which I think, oh, yeah, that's so much more empowering.
Yeah.
The race might help you because it might give you a framework for it. And you do like need to consider, when can I do this? When is it possible? And that kind of stuff. But I do think like people can also go do stuff themselves if they want. I think both are great. So
yeah,
I think that's cool. I don't know. I just can't believe the sport's even caught on.
Yeah.
It's so hard, but it's also like, I think people find a lot of joy in that. So I think that's kind of refreshing too. For me, I'm like, oh, I like it, but other people do too. Even if it is hard, it like kind of changes your life. Like a week could change your life, and then you carry that on into whatever else you do. So I think it's cool.
Yeah. That's great.
Wow.
Yeah. And something that is really difficult, but equally liberating is that, like you were saying, whether you're among the fastest in the world or you're not even racing the races, there's going to be criticism. There's going to be, for me, I've had race directors who were like, you have to race it. And I'm like, well, what does that mean? Like, I'm fitting within your cutoffs. I don't know what it means to race something. And I always did it within these parameters because of health reasons. Like I had to sleep a certain amount to stay alive.
Yeah.
So it's very liberating though to see that, because you're like, wait a minute. If Lael Wilcox is getting criticized and I'm getting criticized, it doesn't matter what I do.
It's fine. Yeah. Yeah. That's an interesting one, Alex, because it's like, are people like, they want you to shift your mentality? I mean, like the thing is, you can't. So that to me is odd. I think if you're making the cutoffs, you're doing it. And then, if you want to go slower, just do it on your own.
Right. Well, and this race, that was the really cool thing about the Iditarod Trail Invitational, is that for the first time in my whole life, I actually had people who were like, that's actually really cool that you're sleeping 8 hours a night. Like,
it is cool. Yeah, it is cool. You're actually going to enjoy it a lot more. Yeah. It is cool. It's also way healthier.
But I also think it's what people do, like, I've done the sleep deprivation thing, and I know like that's a whole different experience. And you see this whole other side of your brain, and like it's kind of
So I mean, I think that's kind of a fun experience somehow. I think that for everybody, I'm like, oh, everybody should try riding through the night once. Why not? You know, what's going to go wrong? I don't know. You could sleep the whole next day or something, just because it's like kind of weird to be out there. And then I'm like, oh, and this is with everything. I'm like, if you don't like it, don't do it again.
Yeah. Well, and so I'm taking this Indigenous Studies course right now, and I think it's the Lakota people believe that you only see the spirits at night in darkness. And so ITI this year, there was no moon. It was totally dark. And I had a legitimate riding my bike during the night. Like,
wow.
Like that, to experience that is like something, it is like the one part that I will take away from this race. If I take
that's
away.
Cool.
So the night riding, it's special.
Yeah. It's something different. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. I never heard that before.
Yeah. You can think about that when you're out there and you're like seeing things. You're like, it's the spirit. My ancestors.
The stuff I see, I'm like, this is so. Because you see stuff and you're like, this is not real, but I'm still seeing it.
Yeah.
So what's that? You know, my brain's doing something real weird. Yeah. Maybe I should eat something. Oh God.
It's just different. Like, you cannot explain it or describe it, but it like leaves you with a feeling, for sure.
Yeah. That's exciting, I think. And it does feel like low risk in general. Like, I don't have to like go off a big jump or something. I'm just like, oh, I'm fascinated with my condition right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Good.
So what do you think you would do if you weren't riding? Like, you mentioned that earlier.
No idea. I was in school I wanted to become a surgeon. Yeah, and that's probably what I would have done. And actually, that would have been really cool. But then I started riding and I never stopped. So I didn't do that. But I do think, like, my mom broke her leg a couple months ago, and I was like, oh, that would have actually been really cool if I had pursued that. But I think the other part of me would have been like, I probably would have been looking out the window, you know, like, oh, I kind of want to be out there.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it would have been a great fit, you know, ultimately, but I think it would have been cool. That's probably what I would have done. Instead, I've just been biking.
Yeah. Well, I think that's great that you've been able to, you know, turn this into a career, and
I can't believe that. Yeah,
you took the leap early on, and it's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, that's really lucky. And then the fact that it did come together was great. You know, because I was like giving myself basically, like, I had the asthma, and then I was like having a lot of breathing problems, and I was paying for the races, and I was like, this is maybe bad, you know, and then like working 2 jobs so I could afford the stuff. And I was like, I don't know, is this like a rat race? And then it became like my job. So then I was like, oh, now I can like sleep at night, do my racing, and then do other things in like bicycling that I believe in. And I was like, oh, and if I do the racing, then I get to also do the other things. Because like, it's hard to fund that stuff. You know, it's like people are more kind of easy to fund the racing. But then if you do that, they'll like allow you to pad in extra projects. So then I was like, oh, well, this is cool because I can do a lot of stuff I really care about. And so then it became like it worked, you know. And then sometimes I think, well, how long am I going to do this? You know, I mean, even my doctors were like, you can't do this forever because it's not healthy, you know. Even if I like it, I'm like, maybe till I'm 40. I don't know, you know, because I don't know. I guess we'll see then.
Yeah.
Maybe you could take on some sort of coach type role, or like.
I don't think I should do that. Like, oh, this is what you could do. You know, I've just spent the past hour telling you about all the things that have gone wrong for me. Oh yeah, you don't need a sleeping bag. Just bring a bivvy. You'll be fine. You know, I kind of think like you have to make your own bad decisions, you know, because then you live with them. So it's like, I can't tell people how to do this stuff. And if they copy what I do, they're probably not going to be happy with it, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't know about that, but yeah, we'll see. That's a fun thing too, though. It's always fun to change, do something different. And because but I think every year I'm like, oh, if it's still fun, I'll still do it. Yeah. And then if the next year I'm like, and it doesn't sound exciting anymore, then I think, probably don't do it. So lucky I can do it right now. I can't believe that. I never in a million years thought that would work. You think you have to go to the Olympics to be a professional, or something like that. And even that sometimes doesn't work out. It's tenuous, It's crazy that people can be professional athletes. I think it's so cool, So I feel very, very lucky to have gotten to do that. And
Great. Cool. Well, anything else you want to add?
Think so. No, I don't think so. I'm still not recovered from the Iditarod. It's the end of March. I got some there sick, and then this past week I've had swine flu. That's what I found out in Denver. I had all these tests, and I have something else going wrong with me, but then I also found out that I got H1N1 flu, which is gnarly. So hopefully I'll kind of get back to training regularly. Because I miss it, but I'm just, somebody asked me, they're like, oh, what are you better at, summer or winter? I can't believe people are winter specialists. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's so crazy. Tyson, for sure. That guy's incredible. I really admire that. I admire all the people out there. I think it's just so cool. So lucky that I got to be part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you so much for joining us and telling us about your race. And
really lovely to talk with you too. Yeah. And I feel like I've just been talking so much. I would have much rather heard about your stories. Oh, because it's so cool. It's so cool how different it is. Even just a little bit about you listening to your sister's podcast. I'm like, that is really sweet. I love that. So, and Alex, that you're just fucking out there crushing. That is so cool. And I think you're right. You're like, we all need to do this in the way that's right for us. And then to represent that is so important, because people think, oh, winning races is the most important thing, but it definitely is not. The fact that we can access these places and see them and experience them and try to stay positive through that, that's like a huge triumph, because it's like, why else would you do it? So I think that's cool. The more I hear about that, the more I'm like, yeah, that's right. You're onto something there.
And it's really cool. Tyson was pretty much my main mentor. Him and Joel Booth. Joel Booth owns Gold Stream Sports.
Oh, cool.
And so I worked there for a year and a half. That's when I first saw you speak at Beaver Sports in Fairbanks.
Cool.
And so that's when I first got to know who you are and everything. So it's been really cool to kind of come full circle and to compete in the same race after watching your career and everything. But they've both really inspired me in a lot of ways. And Tyson, he has always been so careful about being respectful of the way that I want to do things.
So cool.
He never was like, you should try to be faster, or you should try to, sleep less, or, anything like that. But I would always kind of urge him. I was like, what about taking some more pictures, or looking around a little bit?
He does do that more, actually, now. He was taking some video of the Northern Lights.
Yeah.
Yeah. So actually, I think you had a good influence on him. Good on you. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah.
It's just fun. It's fun because I think there is so much respect within the community of people.
Yeah.
By and large, people are really positive and welcoming. Yeah. And it is really fun to be one of the 20% of women out there or something. There's not really that many women, but it's growing.
Yeah. Yeah, it is growing. This year I was like, oh, this year we had a women's race going. I was like, oh, this is so sick. That is cool, because then you're kind of fighting with each other, but also just you're so happy to see somebody.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, thank God. And then you hear what's been going on with them, and you're like, oh God, wow.
Yeah. Okay, so my other question, I have a dire question. My other question is, how do you maintain that sort of like network of people and community when so much of the training and racing requires you to be by yourself? Like, I'm at a point where I am like, I love to ride by myself, but I also spend so much time riding by myself that it kind of, I think, takes me out of some of the community in a sense. So how do you like navigate that so that you actually have a social life?
Yeah, I think, like Fairbanks, it seems like there's some like pretty good group rides. I do like a fast group ride once a week, so I ride with people then. But then it's also like if my wife will ride with me, I'm really happy. But it is kind of hard to always fit it in, right? Like scheduling's tough. So I think if you can easily just show up to something, that's great. Or start something where you're like, I'm going to do this every week on Sunday, leaving at this time. And then like put an invite out. Anybody that wants to come do this, people will show up, and then you have community and maybe you have more people that you want to ride with, because people do like doing stuff together. So it seems like Fairbanks is pretty good about that.
Yeah.
I'm actually impressed. Anchorage was never good. But yeah, I think because it is fun to mix it up or show up at events or see other people ride with other people. I think that's good. Today I rode with my aunt and uncle and dad for 5 hours. I mean, that's whenever you ride with somebody different, it makes you think about riding differently or the world a little bit differently. So I think that's good for me too. Like around the world, I invited anybody to come, and probably like 3,000 people came.
Really?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. All over the world. I probably rode with people half the time and solo half the time.
Huh.
And I thought, oh, this is fun. And I didn't really have to coordinate it. I just had a tracker. And then I said, just show up wherever, ride as long as you want, or, peel off. So some people would go for 5 miles, and some people would be like, oh yeah, I'm going to ride 100 miles with you today. Or like set their own record of how the farthest they've ever gone.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this rocks. Like, it's so fun, So I think inviting people definitely works because they might not have had the thought, of doing something like that. And then you're like, oh yeah, you could just show up or come with me or encourage them to sign up for something. Or, I had a friend like that. She was like, oh, you could do it. Because you don't think you can unless somebody kind of says that sometimes, or maybe you never even considered it. I'd never considered racing. She's like, oh, you should race the Fireweed 400. So I did, Yeah, so I think that inviting people or encouraging them to try, because they often, especially women, I don't think get that all the time. So yeah, I think that would work. But I do think it is good to mix it up. If you ride too much alone, it's like you're kind of just in your own head, So it's good to kind of hear what other people are thinking about or doing and kind of see how they do stuff. And, and also the time goes a lot faster.
True.
Cool.
Yeah, I like that. I think it's a product of COVID too. Like I got into riding during COVID, so it was like sort of something I did a lot by myself. So it's kind of good to.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yep. Yeah, because that was like a solo time. We're all still recovering from that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Oh, that's cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
Great.
Okay.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah.
It's been a lot of fun.
Lovely to talk with you too, Leah. It must be so late there.
It's getting there. Not too bad.
But thanks for being patient and rescheduling to this week and
it's all good.
Everything. So
yeah.
Thanks so much.
Glad we did.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Talk to you later.